you want.
Okay, ready? Go. Yeah.
So I know that Savannah's work schedule is a little bit different these days. She's doing more sort of in-hand work because that's the work that needs to be concentrated on. So that being said, we have exercises that will help maintain a few different things. We want the horses to maintain their top line and that muscle mass to not sort of atrophy or disappear. We want to keep their hind end and their back comfortable and supple and mobile. We also want their joints to remain flexible and strong, so they have to pick them up and lift them and negotiate over obstacles to be able to do that. And we also want to move the horse differently. Just going forwards all the time isn't enough. Horses can move sideways and horses can move backwards, and we want to incorporate all those ranges of motion into her work, not just forward work. We want sideways or lateral work. We want backing and backwards work. We want her to step up and over poles and obstacles and negotiate things. Hills are good for hind end. Hills are good for stifle.
Yeah.
Just plain.
So all those exercises from way back in, for example,
back in the
asking
day.
her to back
Yeah.
with one side against the fence so that she
Yes.
can't kick a foot out.
Yes.
The different rein back types of
Yes,
things. Okay.
backing her up the hill,
Yep.
one step at a
Step or two.
time, not a bunch
Yeah.
of steps right off the bat, one step
Okay,
at a
good.
time, backing up the hill.
We have enough little inclines
Yeah, you
here,
have a
too.
lot of nice options
Yeah.
here to choose from.
People, I think, hills, they think like steep.
No, mild. And this
Mild.
is nice because there's a lot of uneven little places here that
Yeah,
just have a mild
exactly.
change, and that's all you need. The other thing is, too, when you can walk them down a hill, you can walk them up a hill. You can walk down a hill, you can halt, you can back up a step, then you can walk a few more steps, halt, back up a step, walk down a few more, halt, back up a step. You can also zigzag a hill like a skier.
Yeah.
You can walk the horse side to side and zigzag them up and down the hill as well. So
Okay,
it's
yeah.
not even just a matter of going straight up and down a hill
Yeah.
or an incline. Zigzag the
Yeah.
hill, halt on the hill, back up on the hill. Use the hill. Use the hill for what
I
it's
think
worth.
one of the keys is, in my class, they say attention without tension.
Yes.
Because obviously all these exercises fall apart if, for example, the horse is hollow-backed because
Right.
its head's up to the sky
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
the
nervous about
opposite of
something.
what we
Yeah,
want.
exactly.
We don't want that.
Especially if you're backing up a horse,
Yeah,
you really
that's
want
hollowed
her
out. That's
to
completely
be
incorrect.
relaxed. Otherwise, the exercises.
It's not going to be beneficial.
Exactly. Okay, makes sense.
So all these little changes of incline are perfect here for all of those things. Backing them up, halting, walking up, walking down, zigzagging. Be creative with the
Yeah.
hills.
Okay.
The other thing you can do too is you can take one single pole and put that on the hill, the mild hill, and you can walk back and forth over it on the hill. Now it's a bit more challenging, and you've combined two things. You've combined negotiating a pole on a hill. So you can utilize things that way. The other thing that's also good before the weather turns and we have snow and ice to deal with is this particular property, even just looking around here, has different types of footing.
Yeah.
You have grass, you have concrete, you have stone dust. Even just having her hand walk to warm up and to cool down on the different types of terrain
Yeah.
is very good as a neural re-education, helps keep the tendons and the ligaments strong, and also helps keep the horse more fit in their limbs because they have to figure out how to walk differently according to what type of footing they're on. We walk differently on sand than we do on concrete, than we do on crushed stone, than we do in snow.
Yeah.
So even just a simple thing as walking for 2 minutes on stone dust area, to 2 minutes on grass, to 2 minutes on sand, to 2 minutes in the arena, to 2 minutes back and forth the concrete is helpful. So there's options here that other facilities simply don't have that you can use. In terms of actual structured pole exercises, one thing I think that would be good, and this is a good exercise for their back in particular, and it's very easy to set up, is to set up anywhere, depending on what you have available, but 4 to 6 poles in a straight line, so very simple, and then you hand walk them back and forth so that you set the poles close enough that the horse cannot take a full stride in between each pole. They have to step over
Every
the
other.
first pole,
Yeah.
and then the second second pole is so close that the next option that they only can choose
The
is to
opposite
pick up
foot.
the opposite
Yeah.
foot and step over.
Yeah, because otherwise you end up with poles where they constantly step with the same
They'll
foot
step
forward,
over
and then
with the same
yeah,
foot
and then you have
all
to turn
the
them around, and then they do the
time.
same foot on the other side.
Exactly, and this prevents that. So if you
Yeah.
set up 4 to 6 poles, and you can gauge her stride at the walk to
Yeah.
see if you need to make them closer, so that she has to step over the first pole and then immediately pick up the opposite limb and step over the second
Okay.
pole, and then the third, and then the fourth, and work that in both directions. That's a really nice
yeah.
exercise to soften the back muscles in
And obviously
particular.
you want to give them their head as much as possible.
Absolutely,
There should be
because
almost no.
they need to figure it out themselves. You know, they use their
Yeah.
head and their neck for 80% of their balance.
Yeah.
So if you're presenting a problem or an equation for them, allow them to solve it. If you're
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
holding them tight in their head and neck,
Exactly.
you've taken their help away.
Yeah.
So let them stretch down, let them figure it out, and just sort of, in a sense, casually walk them through, back and
Yeah.
forth. Find the center of the poles, not the edge, so they can cheat and fall out or go around or only do one pole and then skip the next pole. Stay in the middle, keep it very direct and straight, and off you go. Across, we turn around, we go the other way across, several times till they start to figure it out. So they start to come across in a nice long, low, stretchy shape, and so the rhythm stays as consistent as possible. We're looking for cadence, not that they step in and then they slow way down, or they step in or they rush out, or they step in quickly and then they backpedal and become sticky inside. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way across, both directions. So the rhythm is straight, is consistent, and is a nice working rhythm, not a slow, lazy rhythm, and not a crazy run through the pole rhythm.
Okay,
So
yep.
the rhythm's important. It's important to stay in the middle of the poles, and it's important to work back and forth until the horse actually stretches down and walks through relaxed and casual, but in that nice rhythm. And it's very good to release and loosen the back muscles along the backbone in particular.
Yep.
So that's an easy setup
Good.
and a nice thing to do. The other thing that we want to do is getting back to working both sides of the body is we want to set up some poles, about 4, and we're going to keep them on a low setting because she's kind of getting back to pole work. So, you know, if you have something that's anywhere between 3 to 6 inches, depending on if they're cups or risers or standards or blocks, whatever you have, it's something between 3 to 6 inches. And again, about 4 poles, about 4 to 6 feet apart. And you're going to raise the first pole on
Yeah.
one side, for example, the
Yep.
left only. The
yep.
second pole is raised on the right side
Yep.
only.
Yep.
The third is raised on the left only, and the fourth is raised on the right side only.
Exactly.
So they're raised
Yeah.
alternating.
You gave us that one last winter.
Yeah, this is always
okay.
a good one. And
Yeah.
find the center. Don't let the horse list off to one side or the other and
Okay.
cheat. Find the center so that she has to pick up again with each side of her body to get
Okay.
across those poles.
Does it matter which foot they're stepping with based on which side of the pole is higher or lower?
It doesn't. They
No.
have to pick what's stronger for them, to be
Okay.
honest.
Yeah.
But what you do want to be, that's a good question, because what you do want to be mindful is, even in that setup, just be careful that they're not compensating and positioning themselves so they can still cheat and try to go across each pole with the same leading leg all the time. That
Yeah.
defeats the purpose.
Okay,
And that's why
yeah.
we're setting the poles in that sort of arrangement of an alternating
Yeah.
pattern to discourage that. So the horse will actually pick
Okay.
up with each front limb at its own separate time.
Yep.
And then the other piece I wanted to mention is there's an exercise that's very good for horses that have any tight areas around their pelvic area or that sacroiliac joint, as well as the hip. And what you do is you set up 3 poles.
10 feet
And
apart, that one?
An easy way to think about it is 1 to 2 horse lengths apart. So Savannah's a big girl, so probably 1 horse length apart. And you set up 3 poles, 1 horse length apart in a straight line. And then what you do is you bring them in, so the first pole, they step over the right side of the pole. The second pole, they step over the center of the pole. And the third pole, they step over the left side of the pole. Then you turn them around and you bring them back the opposite direction. So the first pole in the new direction, they step over the right side. The second pole, they step over the middle. And the last pole, they step over the left side. And then you turn and you recreate it again. And what you've actually walked is an hourglass pattern. And it's important to keep it exact. So the other thing you can do to help everyone with a visual and a placement is you can use cones in between those poles. So you
Yeah.
set your first pole, you put a cone there so you know walking in you are to stay to the right of that cone. You put your second pole in the center of the your second cone in the center of the second pole so you know when you find the center of that. And then you put your third cone so you know you need to
Oh,
stay to the left
what a
of
good
that
idea.
cone. So it gives you a really good visual for both you and the horse to know exactly where you need to go. And then you also set the cones for when you turn yourself around and you're coming in your new direction. So you need to stay to the left of this cone, the center of that, find the center of that pole and cone, and then the right of the third. So the cones just offer a really nice visual in addition to the pole work so that you can negotiate properly and find your spacing. So that would be another nice exercise, that hourglass pole exercise. And let's start with those three
Okay.
pieces.
Yeah,
Let's
good.
start with that. I'll give you a different one next time.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to do what we talk. I don't want to overwhelm you. I want to
No.
kind of do what we
Yeah.
said, and then I'll give you another
Okay.
set next time. But let's
Good.
start with that.
Yeah.
That's, we're doing pelvic stuff. We're doing back stuff. We're getting her to lift and negotiate through the shoulders and the hips and the stifles. We're doing some hill stuff. We're doing some changes of footing stuff. Let's start with all that, and then we can certainly add from there.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Over and out.
There's your homework. Thank you, guys.